Gamebird, what the fuck are we talking about?
Yeah, let's talk about some rumors, guys. So Nash Weedle, you guys may have heard of him on this channel once or twice.
No, I have no
before.
idea who he is. No.
Well, that's just too bad for you now, isn't it? Nash Weedle says that we are getting some special games on Switch 2. This includes Alan Wake 2, which is one of the best third-party games of this past generation. Max Payne 1 and 2, two iconic classics that I have very fond memories of. Also, the Prime games, like Metroid Prime 2 and 3, maybe. He also mentions that that there's a 2D Metroid sequel that may be in hot water. But we're going to start with Andres because this is something that Andres actually already covered. And so
did a whole video on the Metroid stuff.
Yeah. So specifically with the Metroid, I know that that's the big game that a lot of Nintendo fans are waiting for right now. But just your thoughts on these rumors. Obviously, I want to hear about Metroid, but would also love to hear your thoughts on some of this third-party stuff, including Alan Wake and Max Payne 1 and 2. But what do you got for us?
Yeah, what's up?
He's like, I wasn't paying attention the whole time. What are we talking about?
We're talking about Metroid. You're talking about the Nash Weedle rumors.
Right? There you go.
Yeah, I was paying attention. I decided to. Yeah.
You try to get used to your new chair already? It's like falling back.
I'm figuring stuff out.
You gotta figure out the settings on it.
Yeah, there's I don't know.
There's knobs and levers.
But I'm sitting on it. It's got that
spring
lumbar support.
Well, now lumbar me some Metroid stuff. What's going on, buddy?
Okay. Man, I feel really short because of the camera setup. I'm actually 6'1", but everyone thinks I'm like 5'2".
I met him in person. He towers over me. Anyways,
the way it's just camera
does
things.
It's all angles. People were surprised when they saw in the footage how short I was at PAX. Like, you're that short? You don't look that way in the video. I'm like, dude, it's all angles. I know.
Michaela thought you were going to be really tall.
She really did?
Yeah, she did. Based on the angles. So you nailed the angles.
It's all camera angles. Yeah. You want to come from the top down a little bit. The camera just a little bit above you at the right angle. It makes you look tall. This is what it is.
Yeah.
All right. I'll worry about height and angles and all that other stuff later. So I'm just going to kind of talk about the whole like Metroid situation, right? So I saw some people actually repost my video. I didn't call them out because I didn't feel like calling them out. But they're like, oh, so there's rumor has it there's gonna be a Metroid Prime 4 Direct. And like, yes, there is a rumor for a Metroid Prime 4 Direct, but that's not what the recent rumors are about, right? That was kind of more just I talk about a Metroid Prime 4 Direct because that just kind of seems like the common sense thing at this point to expect. We've gotten one for Kirby. We're going to get two for Kirby. We've gotten multiple Pokemon presentations. We got a Donkey Kong Direct. We got a Mario Kart World Direct.
Right.
The only one, it would be kind of odd for Prime 4 to not get its own Direct at this point. And I feel like we do have some like signs by Nintendo that they clearly have like a decent marketing plan already. People are kind of skeptical of this because for whatever reason, people just love to assume that Nintendo doesn't care about Metroid, even though this is probably one of the most expensive games they've ever made. That alone should kind of tell you that they do care. Yeah. But they do have an official piggyback collaboration of the Prime 1 through 3 art book that's coming out October 28th. Then they have the 2 Samus amiibos from Prime 4 coming out November 6th. And then they have another wave of amiibos for Silex coming out December 4th. And just for perspective, the Mario Galaxy amiibos aren't even coming out until next year. So, like, clearly they prioritize getting the Metroid amiibos out for this holiday, right? So that's something else to kind of keep in mind. My speculation, right, is that we're getting the Prime 4 Direct in either the last week of October or the first week of November, aligning with either the art book or the amiibos, right? And that's also based off the fact that we've seen how they treat their marketing plans for a lot of their big adventure games. You look at Donkey Kong Bonanza, what happened on June 18th, if I'm not mistaken, or it was June 17th. But Bonanza came out like July 17th or July 18th
like
in June.
came out. Yeah.
It was basically about a month before they had the Donkey Kong Bonanza Direct, and you look at Tears of the Kingdom, they actually put out the Aonuma presentation. I think it was like 6 weeks before the game was coming out. So like they like pushing these big games 4 to 6 weeks before release. That's when they actually start telling us about it, and before that, it's usually just drip feeding.
Unless you're Kirby Air Riders.
What?
Unless you're Kirby Air Riders, you just do a 45-minute direct.
Right.
I mean, well,
Sakurai gets different roles, dude.
It's not an adventure game though. It's a multiplayer. It's a multiplayer game, right? It's a multiplayer space battling, not space, but racing. I mean, maybe I leaked one of the tracks. I don't know.
Wild fighting
sports game.
That's a Masahiro Sakurai game, right? He's treating it the way he treated Smash Brothers.
Right.
Yeah. Also, before that direct, we knew literally nothing. So like, we needed to learn more about it.
Yeah, I know. You're good. You're good.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like the common sense expectation, right? We'll see what actually happens. But it gets interesting when you also consider these two different rumors both are coming from Nash Weedle, who's literally been leaking like things left and right for Nintendo, like literally in the direct. He was the only person that ever talked about Virtual Boy coming to NSO. Got confirmed. Talked about there being a Yoshi game in development. Yoshi Mysterious Book confirmed. Talked about there being a Mario Wonder Switch 2 edition, and also new voice lines for the Mario Flower. Literally both confirmed during the direct. We have like a Mario Wonder Flower figurine on top of Mario Wonder Switch 2 edition. The Resident Evil stuff, that was also confirmed, and so that was just things in the direct, right? But we've talked about like all throughout the year, he's been kind of getting more and more right. So it's obviously like it's fair to have a conversation about it. Anyway, so the rumors coming from Nashville in regards to Metroid, he put this out in his Partida Zero episode 3. He's created his own channel, and he does like some leaks and news conversations. That's actually good stuff. So I recommend you guys check it out. If you speak Spanish, it's interesting, or you could probably like read the English dub or something. Don't
listen to YouTube's English dub.
The auto dub is
is bad.
So it's pretty messy, but I think it's a really well put together program, is what I'm saying. Like, it's really cool. He gets into like Nintendo nostalgia stuff. You see, shows off like a lot of old commercials and games and things, but also has news and leaks. So it's a pretty good program. Nice. But anyway, he talks about there being every Metroid Prime game coming, and like he literally highlights not just Prime 2 and 3, but also Hunters and Pinball. And I mean, he doesn't show it, but there is also Federation Force, right? So what's Nintendo going to do? Is this going to tie into the Prime 4 Direct? Or they're just going to be like, hey, literally every Metroid Prime game is on the eShop. That's an exciting idea. That's not necessarily what's going to happen, right? The rumor just that they're coming doesn't necessarily dictate when they're coming, right? So Nintendo might be thinking more so of, hey, let's make sure Metroid is coming out consistently for years. We did it back in the early 2000s. We had 8 different Metroid games come out in 8 years. Prime 1, Prime 2, Prime 3 Trilogy, Other M, Prime Hunters, Metroid Fusion, and Metroid Zero Mission. Like, all that came out between 2002 and 2010. But because back then the GameCube sucked in terms of sales, it was good, but in terms of sales, it sucked. And in terms of Wii, had great sales, but it did not have a hardcore audience, right? It was only people pretty much who just liked like Wii Fit and Just Dance. It wasn't the right environment for Metroid to succeed, but during the Switch 2 era, it is kind of the right environment for a game like Metroid to succeed. So maybe now they can kind of be consistent with Metroid releases. That's kind of what I'm thinking is, what the basic rumor is, hey, we have some different Metroid games coming. And then another rumor that kind of helps to fuel this thinking is that Mercury Steam is coming out with a game. Well, okay, the rumor is that there is a game coming out in 2026 that Nintendo is kind of talking to a company about. But if you fill in the dots, right, you look through the thread, he never deconfirmed that one. He deconfirms a whole bunch of others. And you look at, he also talks about a game that he did talk about. He's talked about 2D Metroid being made by Mercury Steam. And you also consider, well, it has been 4 years since they came out with Dread, and that was their most successful game. I think that was literally the best-selling game that ever came out of Spain. Best-selling Metroid game. Like, it's a no-brainer that Mercury Steam is going to work on the next Metroid game. And it's been 4 years. So it's reasonable to think that they could come out with another one for next year. So
that thread was interesting. So I when I was watching your video and I was looking at the stuff, he also kind of made it sound like, like the developer, because he doesn't confirm it's Mercury Steam, right? Like you just kind of connect the dots. You can kind of
it could be something else.
You can pretty much figure that's what
it's Mercury Steam.
Yeah, because he says the developers behind schedule. They did get an extension for 2026, but it also says no further delays will be accepted. So it's kind of like almost like Nintendo maybe isn't happy with them, that they're not like it's not going smoothly, and they're just like, if you don't get it done next year, we're just going to pull the plug.
Yeah. One thing I will say though is that this is all translated, right? Like, so he's saying it in Spanish. There could be a little bit of connotation lost there.
Well, sure, I guess.
Actually, let me go and read it.
Yeah, but you can read Spanish. I don't know why you're
telling
me.
The thing is, though, like I still default to just it shows me a translation.
It shows up. Yeah. It shows up that way.
And I'm not going to pretend like I'm the greatest Spanish speaker in the world. I understand it, but I have to have like a mental shift.
Yeah, I'd be very curious because the last point made, it says no further delays will be accepted. Like I don't know how that could be mistranslated.
Right.
That's literally.
Well, I mean, they're still,
So you look at it in Spanish, though.
Spain Spanish is also a little bit different than like Colombian, Cuban Spanish. There's like subtle differences, but
like the way they say gracias in Spain is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it just says deadline 2026. No se admite otro retraso. I mean, it just sounds like that they want it out in 2026. I don't know if we should like look so deeply into it. They were like, oh, Nintendo's being like really rude about this. I just think it.
Well, I'd say rude. I would say like
they're setting a business deadline like 2026
this is when we want it out.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, it kind of makes sense to what I'm kind of getting at, though, is that Nintendo wants to come out with Metroid games consistently because they want to keep that momentum going. They want to keep that train going. They want
this
is to grow.
This is what Kiwi Talks was saying when we had him as a guest on the show, that there's been discussions behind the scenes of like, why isn't this series selling well? And it's something that Retro, at least in regarding Prime, has been like, when you think of the huge jump or the massive leap in years in time between new entries, they're not keeping that momentum. They're not creating new fans and consistent fans for a series to come back to. It's getting forgotten to time.
Yeah.
I also wonder, because like the whole genre is called the Metroidvania genre. There's a ton of games that are massive in that genre that are sold better than any Castlevania, sold better than any Metroid, and yet those are the games that basically founded the whole genre. That's why it's called Metroidvania. What I don't get is
it should just be called Metroid. Like
whatever.
Let's be honest here.
But look, I'm trying not to diss the Castlevania. We'll leave it be.
Castlevania is great. Don't get me wrong, but
I know.
Metroid's the OG.
You can't shit on this game right here. Okay.
Yeah, don't piss off that. All right. We already succumbed to the powers of the stash. I know you keep twisting it. You can twist it all you want. You're not gonna get to the power of the stash. No, but what I'm trying to like point out, I guess, is that like they might look at it internally and be like, oh, because there's been such large gaps that people forget about it. Dude, there's games that come out that have no history and blow up and sell 10 million copies in the genre.
Right.
So like at some point you can't blame the gaps.
Yeah.
At some point you have to figure out, why are other people able to make games in this genre and they're instantly appealing and evergreen, like Hollow Knight as an example, but we can't do it. What are we not getting about this genre that other companies are?
I think it's marketing.
I was going to say, I think I hate saying the newer generation because I don't even know what the hell that means anymore, but just say 20 and under. What connection, and that's a big market in gaming. Truly, what connection do they have to Metroid? What would they have to play? Or if you go back to, when did Metroid Dread come out? 2021? 2021. So say you became a big gamer in 2022, and you're like,
I wrote it down because I knew this would be asked earlier.
yeah, but if after that, we had the hype for Metroid Dread. It came out the same day, I think, as the Switch OLED did, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
It came out October 8th, 2021.
Yeah, so I feel like Nintendo almost tied the marketing of Metroid Dread to the Switch OLED.
Bro, Emmy
Like,
edition. It had the same color layout.
Same color, exactly.
Absolutely.
And I do think that actually helped a bit with Metroid Dread. Some people went out and got the Switch OLED, and
Yeah.
were like, "Well, this."
They
game
heavily
came out.
marketed the game during that period.
And if they had a follow-up to Metroid Dread within 2 years,
This is my
that would've
exact
been-
point. But there was nothing, so you have. I hate seeing the newer generation, but we know Metroid, we've grown up with it, whatever. But
they had Prime
it's
and
like,
Master. They just didn't market it.
they didn't market it at all, and it's one of the best things
Not at
Nintendo's
all.
ever
And
put out.
It's literally one
Shadow
of the best
dropping-
games last like handful of years.
$40.
Shadow dropping a game from a series that doesn't sell well is, in my opinion, just not.
Yeah,
not the right move,
it's almost
know?
like I have a theory that game was $40 as well because Tears of the Kingdom was the first $70 Nintendo game. So they were like, let's soften the blow, do something $40, whatever. But yeah, I just feel like there's no connection to Metroid for almost like
Maybe
a
Doug
cutoff
Bowser hates Metroid, and so like he's always made sure that we're just gonna sabotage it. But now that there's someone else in
date.
power,
Doug Bowser sucks at Metroid games. Confirmed.
could be. Nate, you have permission to talk during your podcast.
One, it's not my podcast. We all
Oh.
call home some bitch. 25%.
Okay, you have permission to talk on this show that runs on your YouTube channel.
And Thunderstash's YouTube channel and Gamebird's channel.
Okay, whatever. Just talk.
This isn't the show you think it is. I'm just. That said,
I'm sorry.
it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, this isn't like the Nintendo Prime podcast. It's not my show. It's our show. I always have to
Thunderstash
clarify.
and Game Bird.
A lot
I
of people
think
call
they
it my
need permission
show.
to talk.
I know. I'm just saying. If people think it's my show, it's not my show. It's our show. No. So I'm here. I mean, I keep hearing all this conversation. It's the same conversation I see happen online all the time. The inconsistent marketing. Oh, they should have dropped another Dread game sooner. I think this is all just excuses. Hollow Knight sold 15 million copies, and there was a huge gap between that and Silksong. It's not evergreen. Like other companies are making it evergreen. Why can't Nintendo get Metroid to be evergreen? Nintendo hasn't dropped a new 3D Mario in like 8 years, and it sold 25 million copies.
But Mario's already massive. Like you can't compare Mario to
Mario has
Metroid
movies and
because
everything. Yeah.
Okay, time out. As massive as Mario is, 3D Mario has never sold like Mario Odyssey did. It literally is the most evergreen 3D Mario game ever in the history of Mario.
Yeah.
And that wasn't even my first example. I used Hollow Knight.
Well,
Like-
all right. But let's talk about that
I
then.
think I know what it is. Most of Hollow Knight sales and most Metroidvania sales are on PC where Nintendo isn't.
I think that's a huge part of it. But I also think we have to consider this, right? It's kind of like it actually goes a little bit back to what you guys were talking about earlier about just like being YouTubers. Like Robot Joe, you were talking about what's it like? Comparison is like there's a phrase.
Thief of Joy. Yeah.
Comparison to Thief of Joy. I think it's related in the sense that when you're a YouTuber, right? And you see someone cover a video and it does way better than your topic, and you cover a similar topic, and they just kind of like completely like destroy you views wise. What you gotta realize is that you're getting recommended that video because it's getting pushed by the algorithm. It's the success story. You do not see all the failures. That's how social media works in general, actually.
Right.
You do not see the average Joe. You see what's getting pushed. You're seeing the miracle. You're seeing the winner. Right. So we're here talking about Metroid not selling 15 million copies.
So you
But
see the
There's so many
robot
Metroid
show?
videos. What?
That's what I thought about as soon as you said it.
You said you said you don't see the average Joe. I'm saying so. I was like, so you're saying you see the robot Joe?
Well, there you
instead?
go. Exactly. But the point I'm getting at though is that like Hollow Knight is the one that like completely exploded in popularity. There are so many Metroidvanias out there that are just hidden that we'll never play. Like, so I don't think it's even fair to be like, oh, well, why did Hollow Knight do better than Metroid? I mean, the fact of the matter is it's the lucky one.
Yeah. And I think timing was part of it too. I do agree that the Steam and PC definitely helped Hollow
Being
Knight.
$20.
I think timing was a huge part of it because this is a game that, although is a Metroidvania, has also been compared to Souls-like games, which, you know, when Hollow Knight was coming out, Souls-likes were really exploding. You know, FromSoft was really getting going. I think they already had 3 Dark Souls games at that time, maybe even including Bloodborne. I forget a little bit when the first Hollow Knight came out. And Souls-likes have only gotten more and more popular. That, and it's an indie game that costs much less than AAA, and the art style. Like, I'll give you guys a story right now. We just got back from PAX West about a month ago. My wife, she doesn't play video games. Like, she rarely dabbles. She went over when we were in the private Nintendo meeting to do all the demo stations. My wife was like, "What game is this? I want to try this one out. I love the art style." And then sat down and played both demos of it and was talking to the developer about how she likes this game and how she doesn't play. And he's like, "Oh my gosh, well, what is it that you like about the game?" And she's like, "I really love the art style." You know, the art style caught my eye right away. And then when it came out and I bought it, she was like, "Oh my God, you bought that game? I want to play it." So there's multiple factors. I think art style, timing with the FromSoft stuff, and obviously the multi-platform helps a lot. But I do think there is a marketing issue. I mean, Metroid has a tough thing, especially Prime, because it's a first-person shooter.
Yeah.
But it's not a first-person shooter that plays like any other first-person shooter.
I always
Oh,
have
go
to
ahead.
explain that to people when I'm making like, first-person shooters. I'm like, yes, it's a first-person shooter, but it's
a platformer too.
It's and it's like
You
the
know?
controls are like almost like a I don't
And
even know how to explain it.
Right, and it's about exploration, and it feels slower. You know, it's not like high speed like a Doom.
Right.
And I don't know. I feel like Metroid really thrives with its power-ups, with its incredible like perfection in level design and stellar boss fights. And yes, I do think we're going to get a direct. I think a direct is very needed for this game, but I do feel like Nintendo could be showing off the game in a way that's more enticing to people who have maybe never touched the series before. I do think that. Maybe that's not the perfect answer. Maybe that's not the answer that's going to get the game to 10 million. Maybe it's that, like, hey, it's a shooter. Maybe we need to incorporate some sort of multiplayer mode in this to draw in more people.
I have
Which it doesn't have.
I have a theory that the same way Mario Kart World has free roam, the open world mode.
Yeah.
And Donkey Kong had the paint and sculpt mode. Metroid is going to have something that's
what they should do
for kids.
I'll tell you right now,
but they're going to have something where Nintendo in the direct's like, hey, and also your 5-year-old kid can mess around and do this or something. But yeah, I think
that might be the motorcycle open exploration element.
Yeah, very well could be. Yeah,
this isn't happening, but this would be kick-ass. Is if they did what Ghost of Tsushima and the new Ghost of Yote did, where they launch the core game and then they announce at a later date that a free multiplayer mode is coming at a later time, would be awesome.
That's possible.
Yeah,
I don't think so, but
I don't think so either. But I think that would be awesome.
Do you think in the direct they're really going to push the mouse controls?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I've had this theory. I kind of mentioned it before. I've done research on like Metroidvania games and stuff like that, and like how well they sell and where they sell. Because it's not just Hollow Knight. That's just like an easy example to pull out. Dead Cells, even certain Castlevania games. But if you look at where all the sales for these games are happening, it's like 90% on PC. I just don't think these games appeal to Nintendo audiences. I mean, Pokemon fan put it in there, like in the chat, saying, I don't feel like Prime appeals to Nintendo fans. It just isn't a game Nintendo fans care about. And that feels weird to say because like it's still going to sell millions, right? Like we're still talking about a series that's going to sell 2, 3, 4. We're hoping Prime 5 does 5, 6 million, but Prime 5, Prime 4. But it's still kind of like, but if it was on PC, it could be like 10 million. It's just the audience that love those kind of games.
It's a very fair point.
Probably aren't really on Nintendo. Like they're on a different platform because that's where all the sales for this franchise, for this genre,
Metroidvania. Yeah, that's a fair point. I didn't think.
I hear you, but just to make a counter argument, Nintendo is at the height of its popularity right now. Switch, like the install base skyrocketed beyond what Nintendo's ever done for home console before. So I do think that Switch 1 brought in millions of first time Nintendo gamers, millions, and an older audience than what they previously had garnered with the Wii and the Wii U.
With Switch 2.
So why didn't
I don't know. It
doesn't matter if the audience coming in isn't the audience from PC that plays these games, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, like, I think the potential is there. Like, I think it's possible for Metroid to really succeed.
By the way, guys, I want to make clear, I'm not knocking Dread. The sales are really good for it, and it's not a game that cost them a lot of money, so it was very profitable
platform game.
Yeah, but
it's available on multi-platform.
Yeah,
that's what
I'm saying though. Is like the audience for this kind of game doesn't seem to be on Nintendo's platform. Doesn't mean saying Nintendo should put them on PC. I'm not saying they should do that. I know there's a lot of people that hope someday Nintendo puts their games on PC. A lot of people would love that.
Well, we'll look at when they are cross-platform. What is the Prince of Persia Metroidvania called?
The Lost Crown.
Lost Crown. That game was incredible. One of the best Metroidvanias I've ever played. Cross-platform, and still fell tremendously short.
One of the highest rated games of that year too.
I think
it averaged like an 86 or something like that.
I'll say this. We're talking about a Ubisoft game. The studio was basically closed before the game came out.
Yeah, but it
didn't matter what the game did. They already decided before it came out they were closed.
I just think Metroidvania is in their essence. Like Hollow Knight, like you're saying, that's the rare one that broke through, and there's a couple here and there.
I so disagree with this. There are indie studios that make nothing but Metroidvanias, and that's all they do, and they've been doing it for decades. Like, this is not a new genre. The genre is very popular. There are a lot of games that are successful at it. Now, I will note, they're not like Nintendo successful, but here's the thing. They don't have to be, right? Like,
exactly,
Nintendo's selling neither does Metroid Dread.
Yeah,
3 million is great. We shouldn't be complaining about this. Fire Emblem and Xenoblade don't sell 3 million most of the time.
Yeah, because the audience for those kind of games also doesn't happen to be on Nintendo. That's the thing. Like, I'm glad these games exist. It's just the audiences for it are elsewhere.
I want to shift over because Stash hasn't had. We've all been jumping around, but I want to hear Stash's thoughts on this one because I know he's a very passionate Metroidvania player. So Stash, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, obviously, yes, I love Metroidvania games, and I play a ton of them. Look, I haven't understood why this isn't a game of the year category. Metroidvania is a very legitimate genre. There are tons every year that come out. And if you don't know about it, that's just because you're not looking. All you have to do is Google, 2024 list of Metroidvania games, 2025. Go to 2026, you're going to see tons. Like, I could make a video right now on the top 25 Metroidvanias coming out in 2026 that I would be excited about. But I don't have time to do this, right? However, this is a genre that's been really blowing up, right? And there's even games that you may not think are Metroidvanias, but they are. Like the Batman Arkham Asylum is considered a Metroidvania, even though it's a third-person, action adventure game. Axiom Verge, great Metroidvanias. Obviously, we know all the Castlevanias.
I love that game.
Yeah. Excellent games, man. There was one that came out on Xbox Live Arcade back in the day. Is Shadow Complex.
Yeah, that's a
badass game.
Dude, even I don't know if you mentioned. I didn't hear Animal Well.
Yeah, Animal Well.
Some of my favorites are the Guacamelee games.
Guacamelee,
those are
so good.
The Ori games.
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah, there's tons. Cave Story is another great one. Dead Cells is considered a Metroidvania, but it's also a roguelite.
Yeah, it's more, kind of crosses the genres.
Yeah, which is cool. So yeah, there's tons, man. There's just lists and lists, and you can go on for days and days with how many we're getting. So, Gamer, do you want me to speak directly on the marketing?
Well, you don't have to speak on the marketing. That's what I think is a big issue for this. I believe that the series needs special care with the marketing they want to broaden in its audience. Like, I don't think shadow dropping a Metroid game is the right strategy to get people excited.
Like if they shadow drop Prime 2 and 3 or something?
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Like, I think that would be a massive mistake personally. And I've said it before on the podcast. I would have opened that Metroid Prime Remastered trailer with the black screen, the music kicks in, and then you see the list of all the nominations, 10 out of 10s, like the critically acclaimed series from 25 years ago. Over this many 10 out of 10s, award winning, is finally back. So people are like, oh, what the hell game is this? You know?
Yeah.
But anyways, sorry, Stash.
So I still, again, I still think for me, the biggest hurdle is getting 2 and 3 out. And I know I've heard plenty of people say, well, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond it's self-contained. People don't care. The casual has no idea that it's self-contained, and they don't care.
Drop the 4 and just like Dread drop the 5.
Yeah, exactly. Just drop the number, and then you'd probably do better. But you're calling it that, and I do still think there's a reason. I've never budged on that. I do still believe Prime 2 and 3 are coming out. And again, I think I said this last week or the week before. Just a reminder that Pikmin 1 and 2 came out 30 days before Pikmin 4. 30 days.
Right.
A lot of people have said, "Oh, we've run out of time." It's like it was 30 days, man. So
and when do we expect that Prime 4 Direct?
So we technically still have time, yeah. I think that would help build momentum. There's a lot that goes into this that I think Nintendo could do. Obviously, with the first person, you're going to be categorized as a first person shooter. Okay.
Right.
And that sucks because this is a first person adventure game.
Right.
Okay? This plays more like Indiana Jones.
Absolutely.
Right.
And it doesn't get credit for that. Okay.
That's a fair point.
People used to compare it to Halo when Halo during the Xbox and GameCube. And I'm like, this is nowhere near that, guys. Because people are like, oh, I'd rather play Halo. It's like, well, you can play both because these are completely different games outside of the view. But again, common sense, right? It's not common anymore. The way people use their brains today, it's tough out there to get your points across. But I look at that and it's like, first off, you got to be really clear on that marketing as far as that this is not a first person shooter. Okay. Yep. This is way different. It's way deeper. And then to me, you got to lean into this. And regardless of how people feel about this, because I know this can be a touchy subject for some folks, but you have a female lead. We've seen this happen with a lot of movies today. They're going with a female lead. Okay. And look, whether you agree with it or disagree with it or indifferent, the point is that you have a female lead. You've had one since the 80s. However, it's in that first person view. So you don't see. And that kind of sucks because if you had the option to be able to see the female lead, I think that could help sell some more. I really do.
Yeah. It would be sick if you know how in some games you can hide helmet? You know how you could do that in some games? It would be sick if you could hide helmet. I know it's first person, but on the motorcycle would look sick with Sam's ponytail flying in the air.
It would. And like, you guys think about this when we were kids, when I was a kid and getting to the end of Metroid. Okay. Because I swear to you, in the 80s, if you didn't beat Metroid and you didn't know anyone who beat it, just like I was the first person to beat Zelda that I knew, and that goes for everybody at school. No one had beat it. And I didn't know anybody who beat Metroid. So when I got to the end and I saw that it was a woman, I'm like, holy shit, what? all this time you just presume that Metroid's a dude, right? Like that there's really not much narration for you to determine that it's a woman. That's why that was a huge deal back in the day at the end of the game. And so it's like, man, you could totally lean into this, but then at the same time, the Prime series is so much of that view is because of the visor. Because they want it's like the RoboCop game. You guys play the RoboCop game?
I haven't played it, but I know. Like,
yeah. It's like that's really cool, right? Because like you're literally viewing it through like RoboCop's
through her eyes or RoboCop's eyes.
Yeah, and this is like the same thing. So you're kind of caught in between because it's like, hey, that's the whole game design element. That's a big part of the presentation. But then at the same time, it's like you could probably get some more sales if you did this too. What if you did both? Even like Indiana Jones, love the game. Okay. But if you gave people the option to do both, like for instance, Resident Evil Requiem, we can go first person, we can go third person now. Now we're talking. So now all the people who said, you know what, I love Resident Evil, I just wish 7 and 8 had a third person view. I would have liked it a lot more, or I would have bought it because I don't like first person shooters.
Right.
Now you feed both.
Yeah, there are people who just don't like first person games. True.
There are, and they get headaches, and like it just makes them sick.
I've heard of people getting sick from Metroid Prime.
So I think feed both.
They've actually had made certain adjustments to the way the camera moves within the visor to sort of adjust for that motion sickness, but there's all kinds of people who have different levels of tolerance for that. I do want to kind of speak to something here because you guys are kind of talking about like the marketing of this game, and I do agree that I have been unsatisfied with how Prime 4 has been presented. It's a big part of why I was kind of lukewarm on the Direct, because I thought Prime 4 should be one of the big things. And yeah, it was there. And I think that trailer has actually aged really well, and I'm going to get to that in a moment. But it didn't really pop.
Agree with you, Andres, though, with that initial reaction. I think the trailer was good as well, but I do think your initial reaction is valid.
It didn't scream, hey, this is our best game of the year.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Even though we kind of expected to be just based off the quality of the series, right? If it's not the best game of the year, it's gonna be the second best, right? Next to Donkey Kong. Like it's one or the other. But what I want to kind of address here, and there's something I've noticed, and obviously this is hard to quantify, right? But I've noticed that there's been a shift in the discussion about this game. I've noticed that and I've seen people say this, and I wouldn't be surprised if some people in the chat speak to this. After they saw that trailer, they're like, oh, this looks more interesting to me now. That open desert gameplay, well, it's not necessarily the type of gameplay that Metroid purists are like all about. It is something that's appealing to a different audience. It's speaking more towards, hey, this is an epic adventure, which is what Metroid Prime 4 ultimately is. It's an FPA, right? Not an FPS. A first-person adventure, which actually, this is all third-person stuff, right? But that, I think, is one of the big draws. It's not the only big draw, but I think the expanded, fast-paced open exploration is a big deal. And it's actually, what I find interesting about this is I think, and I want to make a video about this at some point. I've talked about it before, but I actually think a lot of Zelda fans should give Metroid Prime 4 a try. A lot of traditional 3D Zelda fans should definitely give it a try, because for those that are kind of like, they kind of miss the structure of like Twilight Princess, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Metroid Prime is maybe a little bit more like that than Breath of the Wild and Tears are, right? There are differences, but that kind of you're obtaining power-ups to give you different options to explore different areas of the world, different puzzles. Giant, massive boss fights. Like there's a lot of very Zelda-esque things in Metroid, except that instead of it being set in a fantasy medieval world where you fight with a sword, you're set in a sci-fi alien world where you shoot. Like that's, and so you look at the open desert gameplay, it's actually kind of like a Hyrule field. There are big points of interest off into the distance that you can get to. There's a giant icy peak mountain. There is a thunderous cloud area, right? There's a giant tree where the forest is, right? And there's a few other areas as well. And so there's a kind of a little bit of that vibe. And I'm building on top of this, because I do think there's another big hook to Prime 4 that is not multiplayer that they've yet to show off. And I think there's a decent amount of evidence to suggest it has to do with time travel. I don't know if you guys have heard about this or if you've seen the conversations on it, but
I have, and I agree.
Kensuke Tanabe, the Prime 4 producer, back in 2015, did an interview with I believe Eurogamer, and he was asked about, hey, what's going on with because the Federation Force is coming out, right? And it was just revealed, and so people were mad about it. And so they were asking, what about the mainline Metroid series? And this is when Tanabe opened up about his plans for an eventual Prime 4. He talked about wanting to build a relationship with Silex and Samus. What's since been confirmed 10 years or 9, it was 9 years last year, but that Silex is a big part to this game. They're literally releasing an amiibo for the Silex, like clearly Silex is a huge character in this game. So that part of the interview, even though it was 10 years ago, has been confirmed that he still has had that direction with this game. But another part that we have yet to see confirmed yet, but there is some interesting evidence to support it, is that he wanted to make a game lamenting the issues of Prime 2, how the light and dark world creates some problems for people. He wanted to create a game that would tie into going back and forth throughout time. And so we look at Prime 4, unlike Primes 1 through 3, they open up, if you go back to the Treehouse footage, right, or the Nintendo Live events, they open up telling you the date, 20X9. I think that's actually a very interesting sign because they don't normally tell you the year at the beginning of the game. So they're making time a related plot point. Right. But also the back of the box art says that Samus traverses through space and time.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. Yeah, the Japanese box art.
Exactly. Also, the logo is the shape of a black hole. Black holes,
right.
There's theories that it's a portal through, space and time.
That's a great observation.
It opens up the possibility that there could be some time traversal here. It might just be plot related and it may not be gameplay related, but if it's gameplay related, that's a huge hook. And that's what Tanabe was talking about so many years ago. And now we also think about the desert. It's not always the case, but most of the time deserts come with an implied history. Deserts are usually formed by what? Oceans or something, right? So there's opportunity for them to be like, hey, by the way, you can go back and forth throughout time here, right? And then so if that happens, it's going to remind people of Ocarina of Time, right? You have like the giant open environment that leads you to big points of interest. You have time traversal. Just saying, some Zelda fans might really be interested in Prime 4.
I want to touch on that because two parts to this, and I'll say it right now. I think the podcast episode that we had that was the same day as the direct where we got the trailer, I was definitely the most critical on the Prime 4, but I tried to spell it out very clearly for people that I think Prime 4 is going to be amazing. I think it looks amazing. I have no fears at all about the quality and caliber of this game. I think this is going to be a Game of the Year contender. I think it's going to be that good. The reason why I'm critical of the marketing is because it's a series that I'm very passionate about. And for me, this feels like do or die for the Prime series, not Metroid as a whole, but the Prime series. If this game bombs, especially knowing that this is the most expensive game or one of the most expensive games that Nintendo's developed, that's really scary for the series. If it loses,
yeah.
I mean, if it gets close to breaking even, maybe we're good. If it's like, oh, we almost did it.
What's the rumor? They need like 5 million copies.
Right, and they had to course correct. So they might factor that and be like, we had to course correct and we almost broke even.
Right.
Hey, maybe we try this one more time. But it's literally from a passionate fan, and I had to look at it like this is a niche series. Obviously, the 1 million people who are diehards who bought Prime Remastered are going to show up for this game. Like we already know that. We already know they're excited for it. But as someone who's never played a Metroid game before, or putting myself in the mindset of someone who's never played a Metroid game before, watching that trailer, there's no dialogue, there's no explanation.
Yeah,
I'd be like, I don't really like it. Looked kind of cool. I don't really know what that is,
right.
You know. And then
that's a great point.
I brought this up, and I'm glad Stash also brought it up about the confusion of people who aren't familiar just being like, oh, it's a first-person shooter, when the game is not that. It's an exploration game. It's a puzzle game. It's a platformer.
A lot of people probably gloss over that. That's an interesting point. Like,
yeah,
some people probably just overlook it. Like, oh, sci-fi shooter, whatever.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah. And when they compare it to other shooters that maybe they're familiar with, or maybe that they like, they're like, oh, this looks really slow. This looks like a really slow shooter. This does not look fun or intense. Nintendo needs to speak very clearly about what kind of game this is. They need to describe this game to a way that are going to make people be like, oh, this isn't a competitive shooter. This isn't a Halo.
I want to say something.
Real quick. Let me just wrap up this thought really quick.
Yeah.
And that way, I do think there's, and maybe this exists in the game, I do think there's an element that they could bring into this game that gives it a little bit more speed that could be like, ooh, that was cool. And it's the counterattack that you can do in both Dread and Samus Returns. If there's some way to do a fast, like, quick time counter in the game,
there is
I think that's something that you show off. But go ahead, Andre. Sorry, I've been yapping.
I just want to kind of like piggyback and kind of extend. Because what I want to ultimately get at is that I don't know if they're going to do it right. I think they can't. I mean, I would imagine they're not this dumb, but I mean, we'll see what happens, right? But I do sort of see that Prime 4 actually has several key elements that can really help it to stand out. And from a designer's perspective, this may have been intentional, right? But will the marketing team sell that? And right now it feels like there might be a disconnect, but we won't know for sure until we're 4 to 6 weeks away, because the way Nintendo handles their big adventures, they drip feed until it's time. So we'll see how they handle it then. That's the true tell. But what I'm getting at is, you bring up baby faster gameplay. We've seen some subtle signs to that. There is a little bit of a dash mechanic in the air in Prime 4, which is not there before. That does speed up the gameplay a little bit. Will they also extend that to also having a counterattack or a melee move? We'll see. But we have seen that Samus does have some grapple abilities with the lasso, the psychic powers. There's clearly room to build on that, right? So that's one element, possibly. But then I mentioned the open desert gameplay. That's another element right there. That speedy, hot, fast-paced, actiony, move about gameplay. That's one element. Another, the cutscenes in this game are intense. They clearly are taking up a lot of space. Actually, Prime 4 is huge in terms of like space it's taking up. Like, this game is a big game, and I'm talking like literally like how much gigabytes, right? I forget how much, but it's like 39 gigabytes or something on the Switch 1 version. Of the Switch 2 version is like 40, so you could double check it, but it's huge. Like they have these amazing cutscenes, like that cutscene to open up the game, like that's like one of the best looking cutscenes I've ever seen from a Nintendo game. So you have these cinematic cutscenes, you have this open exploration, right? You have one of the best visuals we've seen on a Nintendo platform. You have faster paced gameplay. You have beautiful music, by the way. That's something that I think a lot of people miss. Like, the music in this game that I've heard, like, it destroys Dread, right? Like, I think probably the main criticism of Metroid Dread is that the music's kind of only okay. There's only like a few standout. Yeah. Usually Metroid has amazing music. Prime 4 has amazing music. That's going to be something big. How much you sell that, I don't know, because music doesn't usually sell games. But if I'm right about this time travel mechanic, all of a sudden you have time travel, you have you have high speed open exploration, faster paced gameplay,
psychic abilities,
the psychic abilities, all these different things help the game to stand out.
Mm-hmm.
And so if the marketing team gets that, because they may have designed the game with all this in mind, it's like, hey, we have all these different things that are really cool that'll appeal to different audiences. Let's just hope that the actual marketing team's like, hey, you can do all this, right? Like, and showcase it in an exciting way. I think there's potential for this to really appeal. And like I said earlier, I think a lot of people are already kind of seeing that with the Viola stuff, the motorcycle stuff.
Right.
So yeah, Prime 4 is going to sell 20 million.
Well, now guys, wait, did everyone speak on this?
They came at the wrong time. It's a maybe joke. Probably joke.
I will just say one thing. And again, like, so we talked about this last few weeks, and specifically I brought up the marketing cycles.
Yep.
we had a debate about this, right? About the 30 days. It mentioned that typically Nintendo is going to literally press the on button 30 days prior to the game's release. And so right now, here, October 1st, right? What do we have on deck? We have Pokemon ZA. That's coming out very soon. Then we have Hyrule Warriors. Then we have Kirby. Then we have Metroid. So it may seem like the marketing's not good right now, but there's other games in front of it that need to be marketed right now, like really right now. So it has to wait. And this is why before I think we come to a complete judgment on whether they've done a good job or not, we gotta get there first. Like, we're hyped for it, but they can't be hyping up Metroid right now and then saying, but wait, we need you to go buy Kirby. Kirby needs it's gonna need help too. Or but wait, we need you to go buy Hyrule Warriors first. So I think we got to give us some time. And again, October 1st, ball's here now. I do still think we're going to get Prime 2 and 3. And I think that could change a lot of things.
Could be an interesting release for that Halloween week.
Yeah.
That's when the art book comes out. So that might be the right time to do it.
Yeah. We're talking video games here. We're gamers. We play video games. We don't want to read about it. Okay. It is awesome. There's a book. The book looks very nice. It's a great companion to the games that we're going to play. But if you just tell me you want me to read about the games that I can't play, it's kind of messed up. You want me to buy this book and read about all these games that sound awesome and then say, oh, by the way, sorry, we don't have a modern way for you to play it. You got to track down a Wii or a Wii U, and it's going to be very blurry on your TV and may not look great. That's not how they do it. These are coming with mouse controls. I've said this from the beginning. Literally said this in my Prime 4 video from the Switch 2 experience, that after playing with the mouse Joy-Con controls, I'm convinced that Prime 1, 2, and 3 will all have mouse Joy-Con controls because it is the best way to play the game, and it feels like an evolution of the Wiimote. It feels better than that. So that's what I expect.
Do you think that Metroid Prime 4 on the Switch 2 will be $80? Because I think that could, how the internet is.
It's 70.
It's 70 already? Okay.
Yeah, it's 70. And I think the price will be fine.
What it is right now, that's fair.
I think this is going to be a big game because, again, the Prime games, they're Metroidvanias. They have all the gameplay elements of a Metroidvania. It's a first-person Metroidvania game. Most Metroidvanias fall under like an action-adventure subgenre and platformer subgenre. You look at, again, Castlevanias, the Metroids of the world, all the other Metroidvania games, they're all the same thing.
Going somewhere and backtracking.
You're going somewhere. Yeah, you're backtracking. That's why when people were complaining about seeing this big desert that you're traversing and there's nothing going on, first off, I'm pretty sure if there's something going on there, Nintendo might want to keep that quiet right now.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
like a massive boss fight.
Look what they did with Tears of the Kingdom. We didn't even know about the whole underground part at all. They just showed off the Sky Islands, and then
here's my. I do have a counter to that, and I totally get what you're saying.
Which what part? The desert?
Well, just like them, just them not showing stuff. Like keeping stuff tight. Like, obviously, I as a hardcore Nintendo fan, I appreciate that. I miss the days of secrets in games and
I do too.
The wonder of discovering that on your own. But today, I feel like Zelda, just at its popularity and how mainstream it is, can get away with being cryptic and mysterious and them like very trickling in Tears of the Kingdom to where people are like, what's going on with this? It was still building a hype because people are like, what's the deal? What's going on with Zelda? Metroid's not going to draw that same sort of mystique that people are like, oh, like I barely know anything about this. I got it. Like I need to know more. I do think they need to give us a little bit more. And
we will.
Yes,
we
will.
We're gonna get the Metroid Prime 4 Direct. We're gonna get more information. And again, we've talked about this before, but just to say it again, I do believe there's time travel. I think that big open desert that you see is going to be something else as well when you time travel.
Right. Sure.
And you're going to be, and this is going to be a new spin on the Metroidvania genre, right? Because there's so much backtracking in Metroidvanias when you get different abilities, right? And different items. And now you're going to be throwing that in the mix too. Is that, this isn't a desert anymore, right?
Yep.
This is an ocean now, or this is something else. Because it's changed over time, and now you can traverse it differently, and it opens up literally new areas to the map.
I just love the idea of that open desert that looks a little bit desolate and barren, turning out to be a massive arena for like a Titan-sized like sandworm boss fight. Yeah, like someone's just gonna blast out of the dunes, and
it's very realistic. Let me just say that the desert is completely barren.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I mean, I look outside right now.
Barren desert.
Yeah, it's just me and the cactuses.
I think people are overreacting to that because you're blitzing through that, and there are things to explore there. There are ruins, and we don't know what's under the sand, and there's some cool enemies. Like, I don't think it's gonna be a big deal. Also, if there's time travel, like that becomes something else. Right?
I think the whole world is just a desert.
Right. But I will say this. This is, again, I'm playing devil's advocate. I got to do it because I know because these are the conversations people.
Well, that's important to a conversation.
We're all in agreement. None of us are worried about this game being amazing. Like we all know it's going to kick ass. But you could argue, and this is on the marketing side, that like it sounds like it from what I'm hearing is that this is one of many big open zones that are going to exist in this game. This is just one of many. So if that's the case, why show the one in like the kind of reveal of an open area that looks empty? Like, why not show one that looks more dense?
I got it for you.
Yeah.
Because they're slow playing it like DK. Remember DK?
Yeah.
People weren't like super excited after the reveal.
I didn't
care. But you thought it was just destruction, and like that was the gimmick. And
I truly didn't care until I seen the direct.
But then the direct came, and it blew people's minds.
Yeah.
So I think it's like you save the big exciting thing for a month out, where it blows people away so much they can't stop talking about it.
They're gonna put Pauline in Metroid Prime 4
now when the game isn't coming till December. Like people might just stop talking about it because there's too many games coming out between now and when it comes out. But if they wait until the direct, a month out, all that's coming out is what, Kirby? After the direct will probably happen after Age of Imprisonment, so there'll be Kirby. Kirby probably isn't going to overshadow
Hyrule Warriors.
Really, Hyrule Warriors.
I don't think we should be worried about Hyrule Warriors.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to affect anything, and that comes out really early in November.
It's on November 6th.
Okay.
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of marketing for. A lot of marketing for Metroid and obviously Kirby, I think, is happening in November. So and those games are so fundamentally different. I don't really think the marketing is going to hurt each other. So I think that if they have a big shocking moment like that, they're saving for the direct. Again, it's going to have to be more than just that. They're going to have to back it up with the rest of the direct.
Right. Boss fights, really good music, cool story stuff. Like,
if it blows people's minds. And they keep like it could be like that Breath of the Wild moment in so much that people can't stop talking about that moment because they didn't know that Nintendo made games like this. And it just keeps building hype all through the holidays. And now people talk about picking up a Switch 2 on Black Friday so they can play Metroid Prime on it, even though you can play it on Switch. But Nintendo keeps marketing it just for Switch 2. It's kind of funny watching Legends EA. Yeah, they're only marketing it for Switch 2, but it's on Switch 1. Like,
Yeah.
it's weird how Nintendo. I mean, I know why Nintendo's doing it. It's their new console. They want to push the new console, obviously, but it is funny when you watch all the commercials. It's like it's Switch 2 and it's Switch 2. I'm like, it's also on Switch 1. It's like whispered behind the commercial. It's also Switch 1. But no, I that's the only thing I can think of is like, and you might, and to your point, Gamer, the thing is like, and they did that for DK. DK's at least been successful in the past, like to a greater level than Metroid's ever been. So it's like, why wouldn't you want to get people excited like right away when and then just do it again a month out?
My thought process is, why not have like your first trailer for the game that like was really, really, really expensive to make, one of the most expensive games you've ever made, that doesn't generally sell well, has never really sold that great. Why wouldn't you want to make the first trailer so good that everyone watches it, goes like, holy shit, what the hell game is this? What is Metroid Prime?
Yeah, and it was in a direct that was one of the very first direct of the Switch 2 era. So it's like,
yeah,
because anticipated directs.
Because even when I think of like the first trailer, and I get it, like I'm on board with Stash Man. I know this stuff is coming, and and I really hope they knock it out of the park. And I really hope they don't shadow drop Prime 2 and 3. I really hope. And I do have faith that they can pull it off. But if I think back to the first Donkey Kong Bonanza trailer or the first Hyrule Warriors trailer, like I didn't feel like, oh man, that wasn't a very good first trailer for Hyrule Warriors. I wish my concerns with DK were when I watched the Treehouse, and I felt like, I hope it's more than just destructible environments.
Yeah.
But it wasn't from the trailer. The trailer I looked amazing. And if I wasn't a Donkey Kong fan, I would have watched it and be like, this looks like so much fun. I'm just trying to get into the headspace of someone who's never played a Metroid game and maybe making that connection based off of what we've seen with no description as to what kind of game this is, other than the trailer that says, oh, try out Samus's new psychic powers. Other than that, does someone think this is just a Halo or a Titanfall or I don't know.
All the trailers so far have played. Remember, Andres and I had to talk about this a long time ago, back when he was co-host. We talked frequently about like Metroid Prime 4 and how they should market it and how they could like hit on a new market and how they needed to find a way to like talk to people who aren't Metroid fans. And I would say so far every trailer has kind of been, because there's only really been 2. It's been talking to Metroid fans. Like it's
the last one I disagree with. The last one I think is appealing to a
the last one was an attempt because they were trying to show a bigger world, right? But yeah, in showing that bigger world, which we had talked about, like, oh yeah, this has to be a big deal when they reveal if there's a bigger world, like we were hearing rumored a long time ago.
It's hidden in plain sight. Key art, giant desert.
But then they showed, like, as gamers, that kind of something that didn't look that great.
And in my opinion, the shot my favorite shot in that whole trailer was Samus on that bridge going towards like that spire where it was straight on, and you see like the clouds and the lightning.
When her hands in like blocking the snow, and you see the arm cannon frosted, like that's such a beautiful shot,
dude. Beautiful. But that's what I'm saying. Like, man, if they gave a little bit, they don't have to give everything. They give a little bit of like story narration, just a little bit of setup. They show a glimpse of a little bit of a boss fight, not the opening like tutorial boss.
Squat, really.
They barely shown anything of this game.
And dude, like, the bosses in Metroid games, I get it. You don't want to spill your load all in one trailer. That's fine. There's going to be tons of great bosses in this game, but like Metroid is known for having reoccurring bosses, so it's not that much of a spoiler if you bring back a boss that we've seen in so many of the games. That can get fans excited, but also make new people be like, "Holy crap!" That's what I'm saying. Like, dude, if they showed a sandworm burst out of that desert, people would have been like, "Whoa, this doesn't look like Halo." If
I got to advertise the game, like if I got to make any decisions for the trailer, I would have been like, all right, let's start with showing her getting on the bike. But let's not cut to the desert. Let's cut to her driving the bike up that thing to the spire because it's a badass moment.
Right.
Have her do a little fighting, a little puzzle solving quick in there.
Right.
And let's shorten this trailer down and let's just show a moment where she walks out into a balcony, maybe off that spire, and just pans out to the world and stops. You just stop there. You explain nothing. But the world looks like something we've never seen before in Metroid.
Yeah, I'm rewatching the trailer now.
It doesn't have to be fully open world. That doesn't matter. You're showing this massive world that, here's a desert over here, but here's all this cool, interesting stuff over here. Here's some crazy flying enemy way off over there. And you're just like, what is this game?
Yeah.
Can we actually pull up the trailer just for the audience to,
it's
to
really short.
while we...
it's less than 2 minutes, like a minute 51.
Yeah, I just watched it, and I think I've seen stuff this time. I didn't even see the first time.
I love when a co-host asks if we can pull something up that he can.
I know because I could do it.
How dare
I get it.
Hey, while you're pulling that up, I just want to remind everyone that the Metroidvania genre has grown a lot. But if I go on Metacritic, number one reviewed Metroidvania game is Metroid Fusion at a 92.
Yeah,
the third,
so good.
Castlevania. Fourth, Castlevania. Eighth, Metroid Zero Mission.
This doesn't count the Metroid Prime series.
So the Metroid Prime series are higher rated than that.
Point is that even though they haven't released many games in their own genre, still the kings.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So they start off cool with like the shot of the spire.
Yeah, this is all great. This I think is fantastic.
No, this I think they shouldn't have done. They should have showed getting on the bike and then show the drive up scene to that.
The desert part just feels so different than the rest of the trailer. I think that's the problem.
This is good right here too.
Yeah, I'm fine with this part. This is fine. Show her getting on the bike. Show that she rides a motorcycle. I'm fine with that. And honestly, I'm not bothered by the desert part. But the problem for me,
it just feels so different than the rest of the trailer, though. Like how everything looks, like that right there, that shot right there.
I mean, the idea is to show that there's this big expansive world to explore, and I
think it looks good. There's like one area that looks a little okay. This looks fine to me.
Well, okay.
Remember, this is a Switch One title when you're at 60 FPS. You don't see open environments at 60 FPS ever on Switch One.
Right here. That's the shot.
The part where it's the snow, though, it is so nice.
Yeah, like when she pulls up in here, like this looks awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Like badass to get on the cycle. And like for me, I was never put off by the desert. I was like, no, this looks pretty cool. And this is a Switch 1 title. It's a 60 FPS. Yeah, they're showing Switch 2 footage, but this looks really good. I really like this. But the problem is, it's like, yeah, but I love Metroid. And I love Metroid Prime. And this idea of having like this full world that I can explore with a motorcycle is kind of badass to me. But to somebody who like, when we talked about them having giant open zones or having some sort of open world, which again we don't know yet what this is, you do that because it's more appealing to more people. Like you're trying to appeal to a wider audience, and that's fine. I just don't know that what they showed appeals to that audience. So that's kind of the problem.
The thing that's worth noting, and obviously this doesn't say that much, but maybe it's not obvious, but
the lava looks so good.
Yeah,
so we've seen that Metroid Prime 4 bundles worldwide are selling out. It's with the #1 best-selling Switch 2 title on Amazon. Like there are positive signs since this trailer. Now, those don't mean it's going to sell 20 million copies, right? But everything's selling out and being on the #1 bestseller list. Those are not bad signs.
No, they're not bad signs. And again, I have to reiterate this. All these concerns are from a place of love and a place of like me wanting this to reach as many people as possible and have the best shot possible. Guys, I want Metroid Prime 5. I want Metroid Prime 6. I want these games so badly. I don't want this to be the farewell for at least this branch of the franchise.
Well, I'll say that what scares me, and I kind of knew that this was a high budget game, was when Kiwi talks is like, you can easily figure out this is $100 million+ game. And I'm like, okay, this is Nintendo. They don't spend that kind of money on anything but Zelda. this game selling 4 or 5 million is not going to be enough for Nintendo to continue sinking that kind of money into a game. Like,
Right, but we know that part of that is the fact that they had to
it
reset.
kind of has to be a breakthrough that's not just can't just like having the title best selling Metroid ever isn't going to be enough. Like it's going to have to sell significant numbers. Like I'm not saying like 20 million.
No, I think it just needs to break even.
Yeah. I don't even think breaking even is good enough. Not with Nintendo doesn't spend $100 million to break even.
But here's the thing, though, Nate. You were in the restroom. I mentioned this earlier. With the logic that, like, hey, part of the reason why this game cost so much is because we had to completely restart development. Like, and
they broke even, right?
And it's a game that's releasing as a core title for our last gen platform at the holiday of our newest platform. I think that breaking even would be like, oh crap. Like if this had a normal development, we would have made some money here.
If it was Switch 2 exclusive, I would agree, but it's not. It has an audience of 150 million. There's no way if this thing sells like 4.5 million, and that's the break-even point. I know, Andres, you think it's going to sell better than that. I understand.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I don't think it's even remotely fair to say, hey, there's 150 million people who have a Switch, because the fact of the matter is we've seen Switch 1 sales trending downwards over the last few years, because guess what? That audience has moved on already. You're not taking advantage of that large install base. With
what have they moved on to?
Not Switch 1.
Dude, they only have to do one. They only have to do one thing, guys. And
just look at the sales numbers. Echoes of Wisdom has sold less than a remake.
Right. Okay, so I have a question for you. Who are the 127 million active players then that Nintendo reports?
I'm just telling you that they're not buying as many new titles as they were during 2021.
These are people still playing Animal Crossing.
To be clear, there's not as many new titles releasing. So
I literally just brought up a game that vastly underperformed. That it's not the only one.
What game?
I look at sales numbers. I said Echoes of Wisdom.
Oh, Echoes of Wisdom. Okay, yeah.
Well, all I'm trying to tell you is I do not think it is a fair assessment to say, oh, this game has everything going for it because it's being put out on a system with a large install base. That install base isn't as active anymore in purchasing new titles.
Question for you. Do you think Odyssey 1 and 2 that drops tomorrow is going to sell well?
What?
Do you think
Galaxy 1 and 2?
Galaxy 1 and 2. Is it going to sell well?
Yes.
Okay, but you just said the audience isn't active anymore. So why would they buy it?
No. I did not say. I said it's not as active.
Okay. But if it's active enough to buy millions and millions and millions of copies of Mario, then they're still there. They're still hungry for games. Legends EA could sell 10 million plus to that audience.
Yeah, but I think it's selective games.
You cannot assess it as if it were a title coming out in the thick of the Switch 1 era to take advantage of that install base. That said, it's also coming out for Switch 2. Maybe that offsets it.
Here's the solution, okay. And I've said this since when I first joined the podcast. I've been preaching this. Hold on, Nate. I know you really want to say something, but hold on real quick. I've been saying this. Nintendo should really consider offering a Switch 2 Metroid Prime 4 Beyond bundle, because people getting a Switch 2 version of this game at $50 will entice people before Christmas to buy this bundle who know nothing about Metroid just because it's a discounted. They're getting the game at a discount, a brand new title at a discount.
Right.
People who don't care about Metroid or never heard about Metroid will be like, oh, cool. It's a bundle. Never heard of this game.
Right.
That will be a major win. And that would be a massive help before Christmas. This game is missing the Black Friday and a lot of the holiday shopping. So what's the next best bet? Bundle it. Please. I'm begging Nintendo, bundle it and make it cool. Give it a cool Pro controller. Even bundle it with a Pro controller. Guys,
plus well, they're not going to do that. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's going to make it a $600 system. It won't sell. That said, I will say that a bundle for it would be interesting. I think, especially because we focus so much on the US, right? We focus so much on our number one sales period. Well, the number one sales period for Japan is actually the end of December. That's when their big holiday sales are.
And it's coming out in December.
So it comes out in December. If they did a bundle and they run that bundle through like spring, I think, there's a potential that could be a potential big seller, especially with Japan coming up. And, Nintendo could obviously have multiple pushes with it. But a bundle, I'm not going to rule out the possibility of a bundle. I don't know that they'll do it. Of course, they didn't technically bundle Dread in. They just released the OLED.
Yeah.
And they have 2 bundles already this holiday in Mario Kart and Pokemon. So I think it's weird to try to run a third bundle. They don't usually do that, but I'm not saying that they won't do it, because the bottom line is if a bundle's coming, they would announce that at the Direct.
Like they could also announce a bundle later. To your point.
They did the Pokemon bundle randomly, right?
Yeah. They could also just do a Metroid bundle sometime next year. But like to Andres' point, about the 150 million, like I'm not saying they're all active players anymore. Of course they're not, right? And my kids don't play.
Active buyers is maybe the better word.
Yeah.
Because there is still an active base. That is true.
Yeah.
Sure.
Very large.
Sure. But like, when you talk about like the sales of Echoes of Wisdom, I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, yeah, but that doesn't have the appeal of Tears of the Kingdom. That sold 20 million in 2023. So it's kind of like the games just aren't as big. The games that have come out aren't the big games that we're selling well. Like we're not getting Animal Crossing. We're not getting
Echoes of Wisdom to Link's Awakening remake, though.
Sure. And I get that. And Link's Awakening, it turned out Link's Awakening, it ended up being a smidge evergreen for like a year. It was kind of weird. It kept randomly popping up in the top 10 sales. That was weird.
And I just feel like they're different games, though.
Well, they are different games. You're right.
Link's Awakening remake is one of my favorite Zeldas. Not to get into the Zelda talk, but Echoes of Wisdom just didn't resonate with me at all.
Yeah, we also have to understand that like Echoes of Wisdom was kind of risky. It was the first mainline Zelda game to not star Link.
Yeah,
like it was a very different kind of Zelda game. I really enjoyed it, but I think a lot of people that played it enjoyed Link's Awakening more.
Yeah,
than they enjoyed
Echoes. I think you could argue both sides. You could argue there's reasons.
You could argue that it's come home, but to me, it's one of those. To me, it's like trying to use Echoes of Wisdom. To me, is like I don't know. It's like trying to argue Zelda's not popular because Zelda 2.
I can pull up the sales numbers. That's just the one that comes to mind.
Yeah, it's the one that comes to mind. The thing is because I just say this because obviously, guys, last year we were content creators, right? And there was some pretty rough periods making content without getting views. Why? Because there wasn't exciting games. Like. But I can't sit back and argue the Switch audience isn't there to buy games, isn't a huge like 100 million plus audience still buying games when the games just aren't coming out the audience wants to buy.
Yeah, well, we had Mario and Luigi.
Legends EA and Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 I think will be the bigger testament to see if that Switch 1 audience is still extremely active buying wise, because one, Pokemon always sells, right? You don't have to spend $500 to get a new system to get the game if you already own Switch 1. There'll be a lot of people that are just going to buy it for Switch 1. So is it still going to pull 10 plus million just on Switch 1? That'd be a pretty active buyer base still. What if Mario Galaxy 1 plus 2 on Switch 1 also sells 10 plus million? That's a very, very active base.
Yeah, but that's not available for the Switch 2, right?
There's Switch 2 versions, yeah.
It has a free upgrade.
It's a free upgrade, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But that's something else to consider, though, right? Like, I think some people might be more willing to pick up the games knowing that they're future-proofed.
Sure. I just point out that like obviously we're not in the heyday. The heyday is what? COVID years? Like anything you dropped was gonna sell.
Right.
So
I even think 2023 is still in that window. Sure. I think
that's where Tears of the Kingdom came out.
But we gotta remember, why do we think 2023 was still in that window? Tears of the Kingdom, Mario Wonder. We're talking about massive games.
Yeah, well, even then, Tears of the Kingdom did not compete with Breath of the Wild.
Tears of the Kingdom didn't go evergreen. That's all that happened. It had a larger launch.
Too late into generation to do so. I would argue.
Yeah. Possibly. It was
supposed to launch in 2022. I think.
There's also some theories out there with Tears of the Kingdom that it's more of it didn't feel as new as Breath of the Wild, so it didn't feel like you got to own it.
Yeah,
kind of like Breath of the Wild.
That is fair. Yeah.
But it's hard to know. What we do know, though, is that, sales were still really good in 2023. And Nintendo had a lot of games sell very, very well in 2023. But why? Think about the games they were dropping. All of those games were a bigger deal than any game they've released since until Mario Kart World. That's the next biggest game they've launched since probably Mario Wonder, to be honest. Like, we loved Thousand Year Door. We talked about Mario and Luigi and Echoes. All those are like minuscule B tier games till we get to Mario Kart World. And we knew that. We all knew they were holding back, right, for Switch 2. Like, that's what we all thought. They're holding
it
back.
still feels
right?
like they're holding back.
Yeah, and it still feels like, which is weird because we're here already. And yeah, DK Bonanza is a game of the year, but it's like, okay, but then we just went like 2 months without like a super major release.
Yeah.
And then like our holidays,
these games are Switch 1 games.
Our holiday games are 3 Switch 1 games with Switch 2
I didn't think about that. Yeah.
and then 2 Switch 2 exclusives, but they drop in the same month, but they're both spin-off. They're both spin-off games.
Yeah.
You know, like it's a very like it really
That's
it's
crazy.
weird. It's
But
weird.
if you don't look at from the typical like convention though, like this is a crazy period of time. Like between October 2nd and December 4th, we have a hell of a lineup from Nintendo.
5 major games. Yeah. That you can't,
in essentially like a 2-month and 2-day span. That's incredible.
Yeah, it is. It's just that's kind of the strategy this holiday is Legends EA. I want to be very clear here. That they've clarified the past. The prior Legends game is considered a mainline game, so I don't want to act like that's a spin-off game. That's actually probably the biggest game of the holiday coming out as Legends EA for Nintendo.
It's not a spin-off.
Yeah. What?
But no, like it's like literally officially not a spin-off.
Yeah, it's officially not a spin-off. Like people keep trying to argue like, no, just because it's different than what you're accustomed to, it doesn't make it a spin-off. They've clarified this like several times.
It's just people because they're using the word Legends again.
Yeah, and because like they don't do the dual release thing, 2 versions. Who cares?
Yeah.
Okay, it's yeah. Anyways, that doesn't matter. The point is that's the biggest game they probably have releasing this holiday, just because it's Pokemon. And Pokemon usually sells really, really big, and they're pushing it hard with Switch 2. They bundled it the hell in. Holiday 1, Pokemon's bundled.
Yeah, they prioritize the Switch 2 version in the marketing.
Every demo, it's the Switch 2 version, not the Switch 1 version. Which also makes you wonder. Hopefully, the Switch 1 version.
Yeah, I just want to say though that like I remember we would have debates like, hey, are they going to have Legends ZA for on Switch 2? And not only
you're like, no, they always wait a whole year before they do that.
I was on the right side of history with this one. That's all I'm going to say.
Same here.
There would
so
be.
was
Same here.
I said it would for sure.
I'm on the wrong side of history. I'm on the wrong side.
You were.
Yeah, I forget if I tweeted about it or if I mentioned it in a video, but I did have a number of comments telling me how wrong I was. And I just said, we'll see. Like, dude, come on. Times have changed, folks. They can barely get their games to run. Of course, they're gonna put it on the.
Yeah, it still looks like doo-doo.
Games to run. That's good.
It does run well. It is sharp and it runs. Oh, by the way, I want to say something about the snow area.
Yeah, I like the snow area. I think it looks
like
cool.
It's very like right there. That's a cutscene, right? But I find it kind of hard to believe that we're not going to be able to like just kind of walk through that, right? Because
I'm sure we can.
And so, like, you kind of wonder about, is Viola going to be, or are you going to be able to use it in other places? This looks like a pretty wide, snowy area.
I'm calling it now. Next trailer, they either reveal a snowboard or a snowplow.
I was thinking,
or not snowplow. Sorry, a snowmobile.
I was thinking multiple vehicles as well,
which would be
maybe
rad.
Viola just transforms. Viola can like transform into a, like a snowmobile.
Yeah,
or like if there's an ocean and Viola can is like a Mario Kart, bro.
Dude, a jet ski. How stoked would Stash be?
And everyone would be
a wave race.
Everyone was calling for Prime for Viola to be a kart in a Mario Kart world.
That would be pretty cool.
It'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'll just be honest. I'm really excited for Metroid Prime 4. Like I haven't rewatched the trailer in a bit. It looks so badass. I know that this is appealing to like the mass audience. I don't care. This looks so good. Like the gameplay is going to be so. Like okay, guys. It's not the most visually impressive thing ever. It's made for Switch 1. Switch 1
looks this looks visually impressive to me. This shot right here, seeing like the frost on the cannon. I mean, I just mentioned it earlier.
Well, sure.
And some of the particle effects.
They're doing clever tricks. Like they simplified some of the geometry and the textures on the platform they're watching. Like, there's tricks on here. But
I don't think the
Looks better than
look
the
of the
sidewalk.
game is its issue. There's been some stunning skyboxes in the game too that they've shown off. I think the game looks fantastic, and to me, I mean, this is going to go down as the best looking Switch 1 game. Period. Full stop.
Right.
Like it will be, and it's going to be a game that people play and be like, I can't believe this is a Switch 1 game. But yeah, I'm just interested to see what they do with
on Switch 2.
or that.
Yeah.
No, obviously I think the game's going to be incredible. I've always had sales concerns for this. I've had sales concerns for a long time. My sales concerns haven't gone away just because it looks incredible, because it's looking incredible to us, and we like Metroid.
Telling you, man, that desert's selling people.
I showed okay, so I've seen a lot. Okay, this got brought up a lot in the comments, and maybe you guys talked about it when I went to the bathroom. A lot of people by default compare it to Halo.
Yeah,
And-
we talked about it while you're in the
And
bathroom.
that's one, it's a disservice to the game because it's nothing like Halo. But the problem is it looks
It's not an FPS. That's the
It's
issue.
what
And
it-
anyone who
what it
doesn't
is
play these games,
because all your combat is first person shooting.
Yeah.
right? But I mean, like what people think of when people think of like Halo and
Yes.
Titanfall and
But-
all that
So
Battlefield
what I
and Call of
did,
Duty.
so you guys know my fiance, she does play some games, but she doesn't know differences or genres or any of that stuff. I showed her the trailer for Halo Infinite, the launch trailer, and then I showed her this trailer, and she said, "Aren't these the same game?" And that's the problem. To the casual
it is
audience,
casual,
it looks like the same game. And we know it's not. We know how ridiculous that is. But we are the audience that loves Metroid.
But the Metro,
Like she's as casual as you could be. And we have people in the chat saying, yeah, if you're a casual, it kind of looks like the same game, except Halo looks better. So it's like it sucks. Because that's not what it's like. I don't know how Nintendo can actually like break that stereotype.
they say it.
Realize just from
They
a
market
glance,
it.
it's not the same.
Time
They
travel.
market it as an exploration
travel.
adventure game with time travel. Yeah. In the puzzle solving.
Well, if you go back to the
that's
trailer,
like-
there's not that much first-person shooter combat. Like it's in there,
Yeah, that
but
final
there's
trailer
a
was
lot of other stuff.
it
I'm
gave
really-
off the
I'm
exploration vibe in the
The
last trailer.
moment that you guys are like time travel, I'm like, so Halo? What are we doing? That's what they do in Halo.
Yeah, I didn't play enough Halo.
Like Halo is like you're just talking about things that Halo does. It's
But like you don't go back like I don't know the Halo story, right? I've played the Halo games, but I don't know the Halo story because I didn't play like the campaigns from beginning to end.
yeah, the campaigns are really good. Sorry, the
No,
first
I've
three
played them, but I haven't played them from beginning to end, right?
Halo-
Like
the first
so I
three
just-
Halo games are great campaigns.
so I just don't know how all the story connects. But is there time travel to the gameplay? And I don't think there is.
Halo Infinite has a thing in it that it's not obvious, but it heavily implies you time travel during the game. But like, it's not. They don't.
Right,
they
but
don't make as big a deal out
I'm
of
talking,
it.
yeah, but the thing we're theorizing here is like a time traversal component that's like a key component to the gameplay.
Sure.
Like,
Sure.
I mean, we're
No,
not
no,
entirely
I
sure
hear
how
you.
it would be utilized.
I hear
but
you. Yeah. No, I hear you. I hear you.
This would
It's
be
just-
different.
That's what I'm saying though. Is like, and I see some people on the side. Well, wouldn't it be that Halo looks like Metroid? Yeah. You know why people think it's the other way around? Because Halo has been significantly more popular than Metroid.
There's also been artists that have worked on both teams
Yeah, that too. There's people that literally worked on Metroid Prime 4 that worked on Halo.
and vice
Um,
versa.
And vice versa. So like it's one of those things where that could be. This isn't a problem with a game like Dread, but this is a problem with a game like this because this is we could talk. It's not a first person shooter, well, but you're doing first person combat.
Well,
and-
here's another thing. Wouldn't
Or then
some
you're
people
doing
say that
third-person
Silent
combat with
Hill
people.
and Resident Evil look the same too? Right?
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I would if I did. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I would say like, at first glance, you might even for someone who's not even that casual, they might
yeah.
be
It's
like, oh,
like
looks-
it's a horror game. We can walk around first person. Yeah.
yeah,
Third person.
yeah. I think one of the big things, the reason that people don't, well, to be fair, Resident Evil usually sells way more than Silent Hill as well, but I think one of the big components is that Resident Evil has shifted since 4 and onwards a lot to show. When you watch the trailers, it shows a lot of action going on all the time. Like you're constantly fighting zombies and stuff. Whereas like Silent Hill focuses more on the eerie, slow paced jump scare. Don't get me wrong, this totally exists, and it exists even in the new Resident Evil. We saw it when we played the demo. But like when you watch the trailers really emphasize like more of this is a zombie killing game or a zombie survival game. And Silent Hill focuses more on like we're trying to tell a really cool horror story that's very slow paced, that feels like a movie, even though they're zombies. Like we know you play the game. That's the thing, though. You could tell by watching the trailers that they're not the same game. Casuals can't seem to tell there's a difference between Halo and Metroid Prime, and I think that's a problem. And it's been a problem for Metroid Prime because, one, it's never had a popular multiplayer aspect. We can talk about Prime Hunters, and we talk about how Prime 2 had multiplayer. None of it was ever popular. Halo was. But then if you put multiplayer, here's the problem. Like people talk about, you put a multiplayer mode, like a really good multiplayer mode in Metroid Prime 4, it'll do well. Will it? That just makes it compare more to Halo.
Depends on what the kind of multiplayer they do.
I know, but even if they do something extremely different, then the complaint might be that it's not Halo enough. So, like, I think they're kind of in a rock and a hard place because I'm going to be honest. I love Metroid Prime, but the things I love the most about it are the things that feel like Zelda. And that's all the puzzle solving.
Sci-fi Zelda.
Yeah, but I don't know that they do a good job ever advertising that. They advertise like, like they showed areas, they showed combat, they showed more areas, they showed one puzzle where you do the whip and pull. Okay. Like they didn't really show any puzzles in the trailers. I don't, like any of the trailers haven't shown any of the puzzles.
The psychic powers, there's a little bit of that.
There's some inference, yes. But it's like, it's not. When you watch like a Zelda trailer and they're showing a dungeon, what are they showing? They're showing the block pushing, they're showing the puzzle solving. These trailers have basically showed shooting, running, looking at shit, which is a big part of Metroid. But my most appealing part isn't the shooting, running, looking at shit. It's the puzzles, and I think that's what makes it stand out. Because when people think about Halo, they don't think about solving puzzles.
Yeah.
That's one of the massive differences between these two games. Is like one has a lot of puzzle solving elements to it, and especially in the campaigns, obviously, is what we're talking about here. And I don't feel like they ever showcase that enough. Because I think one of the things they should do is stop trying to stand out from Halo. Maybe look within your own fan base and be like, dude, we have a whole fan base that loves puzzle solving. Why are we not emphasizing this more to our own fans? Because look, I'll just say, Andres, aren't there, maybe my memory's foggy like it was with the ending of Ocarina of Time, aren't there a lot of moments in Prime 1, 2, and 3 that feel like you're dungeon crawling?
I mean, the entire game's basically a massive dungeon.
So why can't you find a way to make that appeal to your Zelda fans?
You should.
But they don't.
I mean, I don't know if you were here. I think you were away from the chair, but this is like a talking point I had when you were away earlier. I was like,
make it
Zelda fans should Zelda fans should seriously consider playing Metroid.
Every Zelda fan I know that has tried Metroid Prime loves it, but how can you convince them to try it? Well, you have to do it with the marketing. But the marketing is not emphasizing the things that make it feel Zelda.
But here's the thing, and that's what I want to speak on. We're not at that point where they would, right? Because before we got to that 4 to 6 week window, right? Like before the Anuma presentation, like they were just drip feeding little things in the game. And the conversation around Tears of the Kingdom was like, hey, they're not saying anything. This is getting really scary, right? But then once we got to that point, they blew the lid off, right? And they had all these hype trailers and it was great. I think that's what's going to happen with Prime 4. And what's interesting, though, is that you look at what they've done with Prime 4. We know they have expensive cutscenes with great dialogue, some incredible cinematics, really great visuals, a variety of things to do with the puzzles, maybe time travel mechanics. You have the Viola stuff. There's a lot of variety to the environments. They have the assets and material to put together hype, exciting trailers, very much like they've done for Breath and Tears. They just haven't done it yet. But they're also not in that window of time where they would.
But don't you think that's a problem?
Depends on how they handle this.
Because even with Tears of the Kingdom, when we were covering Tears of the Kingdom,
gentlemen,
weird they haven't shown it. I just want to point out that, like, okay, fine, but we knew what Zelda is. Zelda fans knew what to expect with a Zelda game. This is a series we're trying to blow up, and like I think back to like we're talking about Tears of the Kingdom. It shouldn't be like Tears of the Kingdom. It should be 2014 Breath of the Wild. Snap your fingers, you're impressed instantly.
Yeah.
Well, then look at Donkey Kong. It's the same. It's the same scenario.
Speaking of Zelda,
The trailers were exciting.
Yeah, I know. I was saying we got to transition. That's I'm just like
yeah. Robot Joe's can't stay too late, guys. He's gonna be heading out soon. Am
I
I
got about
correct,
40 minutes probably.
So I want to make sure we get
away.
some time to
You got
talk
an
some
hour.
Zelda before he's got to bounce.
We kept getting to A.O. Newman and somehow going right back to Metroid.
I know. Well, that was one reason why I brought Zelda back up. Is I was hoping we'd transition off of it.